Welcome back to ABC News Live. First, Blue Origin astronaut Michaela Benthaus is taking her place in history. The aerospace and mechatronics engineer is now the first person using a wheelchair to head to space. Benthaus and 5 others traveled 62 miles above Earth this weekend on Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket. But today, she is here joining us on Earth and in studio to tell us all about this. Mihi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, what an incredible weekend you had. Okay, so many questions, but let's start off with, what was that moment like, just taking off in that rocket?
That's so hard to describe, honestly.
I bet. I know it's like a loaded question.
Yeah, everybody asked that, and I don't really have like good words for it. But for me, it was more like a lifelong dream, you know. And I had an accident in between, and I thought like that would never happen for me, after that. So it was more this feeling of like, oh wow, it's actually happening. And
and that accident that you mentioned, it happened in 2018. You had a spinal cord injury during a mountain biking accident. So from that period to then this weekend, what were those years like for you as you continued to work in this field and still had this goal to get to space?
So, yeah, I mean, the first years after my accident have been pretty hard, as you can imagine. I'd spent like almost a year in the hospital and in rehab. But after that, I focused a lot on space because I loved sports a lot, but I couldn't do like sports as before anymore. So I thought like, okay, I'll put all into my other passion and just go and try to do as much like in the space sector as I can do. And that worked out, thankfully, pretty well, thanks to a lot of people.
Did you ever imagine that you'd be able to travel to space?
No.
No.
I was hoping so, but it never felt like a realistic opportunity for me.
Right, and you did it. What was that experience like, blasting off in the rocket, floating around in microgravity? Just if you could describe those moments for us, what was that like?
So, I mean, I already knew how it was to float around in microgravity because I did a parabolic flight at some point where you like fly with an airplane parabolas. So at least I knew a little bit how that feels, but it was super nice, of course, for me to just float around without my wheelchair. But the most amazing thing was, of course, the view on the Earth. Like, that's
the view.
Yes.
I'm sure the ultimate view.
And it was way too short. It was so fast over, you know.
Yeah. What was the training process like, just to get ready for that experience?
So for me, it was a little longer than normally. I was flying with a German space engineer called Hans Königsmann. And he's my supporter person. Like if, in an emergency case, he would have needed to help me to egress the capsule. So we went 2 times to Texas before already to have like initial training, and then we had like 3 final training days with the whole crew, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I bet it was. You're a huge advocate of accessibility in space. So what do you hope the future looks like?
So I really hope that this was just the start, and that, companies or also like space agency being more open to have people with disabilities included. But also, like, human spaceflight is the one thing of it, but I also hope that, like, in Europe, our companies are not very accessible or often not very accessible. So I really hope that it also helps a little bit to change the view on disabled people so that we get, in general, like more opportunities.
And just kind of walk us through, like, did you just kind of keep raising your hand and say, I want to go, I want to be on that list, sign me up? What is that process like when you work in this field and you're an astronaut, you're in mechatronics, and this is your industry? What is that like? I'm sure there are a lot of people vying to get a seat.
Yeah, so I work at the European Space Agency. But I must say that my mission is not like a European Space Agency mission. It's like independent of that. But I'm surrounded by a lot of coworkers who would all love to go and who are like really excited for me.
And quickly, before you go, what do you want people to take away from this history-making trip?
I would say like there are a lot of... Almost everybody has something to overcome in life, right? It doesn't need to be necessarily a disability, but I think it's always good to have like high goals and try to reach them and never give up on them. And then everything you accomplish like on the way to reaching these goals is already so much more than you would have expected.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Mihi. So wonderful to meet you and to meet your mom. Your mom is here too in studio. Mom must be so proud. We're all so proud of you. Thank you so much for stopping by.